Hi everybody, Mars here from Mars Mellow, and today I am going to be journaling and talking about a chronic illness. My illness is called scleroderma, and it comes from the Greek words meaning hard skin. It is an autoimmune disease, which is probably not as known as others such as lupus. So I was diagnosed the summer before turning 13, which was the summer before starting 8th grade. And usually in the summer, you think of teenagers thinking about what kids are going to be in their class. Are they going to have a crush that year? Are they going to get asked out? How are they going to do their hair? What's their clothes going to look like for the first day of school? I, on the other hand, had a completely different perspective that summer. I was more concerned about the changes I was feeling and what was going on. Now, every summer, I knew that right before school started, my mom would take me to the doctor for a physical. And I knew this year would not be any different. So I was already dreading that time because I knew the doctor would figure out that something was wrong. I didn't want to tell my parents about it because I was already freaking out, and I thought there was no need to get them all freaked out as well. So the day came when we went to go see the doctor for my appointment. And shortly after my appointment, the doctor called my parents and said he wanted to meet with them and not to bring me along. So after they met with the doctor, of course, I wanted to know what was going on. And my parents told me that the doctor wanted me to go to the hospital for some tests and nothing major to worry about. The truth of the matter was that he had told them that I had a month to live, and I don't even know how my parents kept it all together. I'm really glad they didn't tell me that because I think I would have totally lost it. So once I was in the hospital, my pediatrician had called in a rheumatologist. And when the rheumatologist came to see me, immediately he diagnosed it as scleroderma. That was pretty amazing because a lot of the times illnesses like scleroderma get misdiagnosed, and people spend years trying to figure out why they're not feeling well, what's going on with their body, and what they could do to make themselves feel better. Now, some of the changes that I started to feel at the beginning were limitations, such as not being able to tie my shoes, having a hard time bending down. And before I was diagnosed with scleroderma, I wouldn't say I was completely athletic, but I was involved in several different types of sports, like swimming, karate, ice skating, ballet. You get the picture. But once I started feeling like my body was very tight and not allowing me the flexibility that I needed to be able to do sports, I kind of started shying away from them. I came up with excuses and told my parents I wasn't feeling well, I didn't want to do it, I was tired. So eventually my parents understood that the illness was more serious than it seemed, and I just couldn't do the things that I was doing before. So like I mentioned, one of the signs was the fact that I couldn't tie my shoes. So I had to go from wearing shoes that you can tie or lace-up shoes to slip-on shoes. Fortunately for me, Vans were a big thing at the time, and they had come out with the slip-on Vans that everybody was wearing just because they were so popular. So it didn't seem really odd that I was not wearing shoes that were lace-up shoes. It kind of seemed like I was just following the trend. It was also hard because I started noticing that I was less independent. I couldn't put my socks on. I was having trouble fastening the buttons on my shirts. My hands were getting tighter. My face was getting tighter. And overall, it was just very nerve-wracking. One of the feelings I think that people with a chronic illness have to face is like feeling like you're letting someone down. And here you could see I decided to use the picture of the shoes because I was able to find the lace-up shoes. And I know it kind of doesn't seem like a big thing when you think about tying your shoes. I mean, normally people go about it without thinking twice. They bend down, they tie your shoes, and then they just move on. But when I found this picture, I mean, it really hit home because it was probably like the first thing that that I noticed. And here I am I'm going to take some of this extra paper off so it doesn't fill up my whole page. But yeah, that was a big eye-opener right there. But going back to what I was saying, the feeling of letting someone down, I think, is one of the toughest things, because I felt like my parents had this idea. I'm sorry, this is very emotional. My parents had this idea of what they expected, for my future, and I wanted them to be able to have what they were expecting. And I think that that's a big thing, because sometimes the people around us don't feel that way. But I think as a person that has a chronic illness, it's more how we view ourselves affecting the people around us than how we actually do. So I found this picture of a lady's face, and I thought that would be a good addition to the journaling, because I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of someone, before and after pictures of someone with scleroderma, but they go from having a round, normal, plump face to a very tight face with small, tight lips. The lips become very fine, and the skin is very tight, so it looks like it's being pulled back. It makes it difficult for some people to eat, depending on how far they can open their mouth. It makes it difficult for people with their eyes, because it causes them to have dry eyes and dry mouth. So when I saw this face, it was something that I thought represents a lot of the visual of scleroderma, because it is very visual on people's faces as well as their hands. Now, other autoimmune diseases affect more the inside, and you cannot tell so much on the outside. Now, I'm not saying by any means that I know a lot about scleroderma. All I know is how it affects me. I can't vouch for how other people are affected. But another thing that it affects a lot, like I mentioned, were your hands. And I did find a little picture of a hand, which I'm going to be putting into the journal as well. Now, the hands, when I was young, I would say about 10 years old, I used to play the piano a lot. And my mom would always say, "Oh, your hands are so beautiful. They're so delicate. They're so perfect." And here I am putting the picture of the hands. As you could see, my hands look nothing like perfect. Definitely not beautiful by society's norms. Although I don't want to say that I have any like self-hate, or I'm, being self-loathing of my image. Because I think when I look at my hands now, I think the scars and the limitations are all obstacles I've had to overcome, including several surgeries, part of my finger being amputated. But they're obstacles that life puts in front of you, and I think being able to overcome those obstacles makes you a stronger person, makes you someone who knows that you've got what it takes to continue. Another thing is that I noticed that when I came to realize that I had a chronic illness, of course, after going through all the emotions of denial at first, oh, maybe it'll go away. Maybe it's temporary. Maybe it's not really what they said it was. Maybe they just don't know how this can be cured. After going through all those emotions, I think you have to allow reality to set in. And I think that means, in part, knowing how to manage a chronic condition. And believe it or not, as I was looking for pictures to journal, I actually found the text in a book, in a magazine, that said exactly that, how to manage a chronic condition. So I thought, that felt like it was talking to me. Now, I decided to put the word stretch into the journal, and I probably should have put like a crossing out of stretch, because if it's one thing that scleroderma causes is the skin not to stretch. So when I put this in the journal, I was thinking of the lack of stretch, not necessarily that your skin is now allowed to stretch. But so I think when you are diagnosed with a chronic illness, in my case at least, I felt like I had to grieve the old me, or what I was used to. This is I thought was adorable, because he's just kind of laying there tired and not sure what he's going to do. And I think people that live with chronic illnesses sometimes feel that way. You just want to plop yourself down and not worry about what you're going to be doing or have to think about not feeling well. You just want to take a nap. So I thought, I love dogs, and he seems to be experiencing how I feel sometimes. So I thought I'd add him to my journal. Maybe it's just because I wanted a picture of a dog in the journal. I don't know. But as I was saying before, I think it's important to grieve the person you were, and not in a dark way, but in a way of being able to move on. I felt that I had to grieve. There's the cute dog. I felt that I had to grieve the person I was in order to be able to embrace the new me and to find the motivation to go on. And I think in a way that was very positive, because once I let go of what I was used to and what I looked like before and the things I could do, it kind of opened the doors to being able to kind of go on an adventure and find out what the new me was going to be like, what new things I could do, and what things I could do with the limitations I had. So in part, I think having to do that is part of a growing experience. Now, I found a picture of a little flower inside a snow globe, and I decided to put that in the journal because I feel like when you have an illness like scleroderma, you kind of feel delicate like a flower, in the sense that your skin is so fragile. And for example, if you fall, those falls are not light and easy. They're hard and damaging. So it kind of would be nice if we could live in a snow globe where things couldn't damage us, but obviously we cannot walk around and live life inside a snow globe. So I think we just have to learn to be like the little flower in the snow globe, but learn to live outside the snow globe. Okay, so once I think you understand, or once I was able to understand that I had to continue dealing with scleroderma and my limitations, I felt like, you know what? I think it's kind of like that saying, when you're given lemons, you have to make lemonade. And I'll come back to that topic in a second, but I found this adorable picture of a happy face. And as you can tell, its mouth is not the usual mouth that you find on a happy face. And there was a huge quote next to this little happy face that said, "Turn your frown upside down." And I thought, that's a positive outlook on things. I mean, when you can't change something, you have to figure out a way to make the unhappy turn happy, because otherwise you're going to spend your life being miserable. And I know sometimes that's easier said than done, but it's something that if you really try hard to find the positive in things, I think it'll help more than if you spend a lot of time dwelling on the negatives, because that'll not only bring your morale down, but I've read that if you are feeling down and sad, it also affects your immune system. So I don't know how much truth there is to that. Of course, I'm not a doctor. So I think having a positive outlook definitely helps in any negative situation. So there's my little happy face with his frown already turned upside down. So going back to what I was saying about the lemons, if you're given lemons, the saying says, this is a quote that I found that was a lot smaller than the one that came with the turn your frown upside down. And I thought this one was important because it talks about how being optimistic is a good emotion to have. And it was pretty much what I was just saying before. Optimism is the more helpful emotion. And you can choose. I know sometimes, like I said, it's easier said than done. If you're in a situation, and I don't know everyone's situation, I know some people have it harder than others. I know some people are unable to get up every morning, and I don't want to make light of anybody's situation. I think finding at least one positive thing in your day can help you continue. And that's pretty much what I wanted this journaling session to be, was to try to keep things positive. Here I found a picture of lemons and lemonade. So going back to the taking lemons and making lemonade, I pretty much feel like I'm going to be making lemonade for the rest of my life. So what I mean by that is I know there's going to be a lot more lemons thrown my way, because that's just how chronic illnesses tend to be. Just when you think you've jumped over one hurdle, you run into another one. So I think I was trying to debating between putting it there, but then I thought, where am I going to put this making lemonade sign? So I thought, no, that's not enough room. So here I go, changing it back to the other side. And I definitely think this is more suitable because I have room for the little label that says making lemonade. So yeah, like I was saying, I feel like I'm ready to be making lemonade for the rest of my life. I definitely don't take obstacles lightly, but I've noticed that every time I'm faced with an obstacle, whether it's a surgery or an issue that comes up, I realize that after I've overcome that obstacle, it helps me understand how strong I am, definitely stronger than I thought I was. And I think for a lot of people, before you go through something, you think, how am I going to do this? I don't think I can do this. But hopefully, once you've made it through it, you'll come to realize that you are way stronger than you originally thought you were. And hopefully that'll resonate when you have to go through another hurdle or another obstacle. You'll remember the last one and how strong you came out of it. So there's my lemonade and my lemon, and the reminder that I will be making lemonade probably for the rest of my life. And I'm ready to take that on. So I think I've gotten all the pictures that I found onto the journal, and I do want to put some journaling into it. I wanted to, I forgot about this one. This picture, I thought, some people love rain. I'm one of those people that don't like rain, and I don't know, let me know if you like rain or don't like rain in the comment section, but I don't like rain. I think that's one of the things that actually does bring me down, believe it or not. I think of all the homeless people and the animals that are out without shelter and how they must be struggling through the rain. But in this picture, I see the rain, which, like I mentioned, I don't like. And yet the girl in the picture has her arms up and she's just saying, let it come down. I can handle it. So I think this is a good representation of, like I was saying, how I feel. So I think this is the last picture that I'm putting in the journal. And when it comes to journaling about this, I definitely want to mention about the feeling of letting your loved ones down and how that may be more of our feeling. I wanted to add some washi tape, and I found some that had some lemons on it. And I thought that would add a boost of color that can tie in to the theme. I found that one, and I found another one. I found this one that was like an aqua blue with the lemons. I don't know if you could see this kind of, sorry that it's, there we go. It was kind of off camera there. And I found another one that was yellow that I'll be attaching in a second. It's kind of hard, as I mentioned, sometimes getting my hands to do what I want them to do. They kind of seem to decide for themselves what they want to do. And here's another one with lemons I actually had. And this one's all yellow, and I thought it would tie in well with all the colors. So I'm going to add a little bit of that to the images before I start journaling. And I did find one other washi tape that I thought would go well with the Scleroderma title. Getting all that attached there. The other one I found, and I think it's coming up. Yeah, I think I want to add it to the bottom. It's this one, and it's very colorful. Like you could see, it somewhat goes tied in with the Scleroderma title. It has a lot of the same colors. And so I thought I'd add that to connect a little bit. The bottom seems a little empty there, although I do want to do some journaling onto it. Now, I don't know if you'd like to share in the comment section if you're familiar with Scleroderma or have a loved one or a friend that might be going through that themselves, or if you have another type of chronic illness and how you feel that you can deal with it. I think art and journaling is very helpful, but maybe you like to do other things, like maybe paint or write or listen to music. A lot of people find that music is very therapeutic, and a lot of times they feel like they can connect their feelings with the music. So here's my connection between the lace-up shoes and the slip-on shoes. And the journaling, like I mentioned, I'm pretty much going to be journaling about what I've been discussing, which were my feelings and my emotions, and how getting used to something different is not easy, but you have to find a happy place in those feelings. So I'm just going to continue journaling, but I'd like to say thank you for if you've continued to watch the video this far. I've enjoyed sharing these tough emotions with you, and I definitely would love to hear your story. So if you're interested in leaving that in the comments, I'd be more than happy to read it. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and click on the notification bell. See you next time.